What is good, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's going on with Tesla, SPY, Nvda, the QQQ, and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down some very important things that are going on with the markets right now and what's going on with the news that just came out, as we have some very important pieces of data which are going to be very important and very telling for the markets moving forward. But before I break anything down about all this information, before I talk about how the market is responding so far, let me just mention a couple of things. I am firstly not a financial planner, so take none of this as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button if you want to see more videos like this. It not only benefits me, but it benefits the entire community as a whole. Anyways, let's break down what's happening with the markets. Looking at SPY, this thing's up 0.27%. Tesla's very flat right now, and the market's trying to rebound or try to hold up at least for the time being. We're seeing the QQQ a little bit more green, but the real question is what's going on. The data just came out. The GDP growth rate was aligning with expectations at 2.1%. The GDP prices, the price index was actually a little bit lower than expected, which is quite decent, kind of in the middle. Initial jobless claims was very close to expectations as well at 204,000, so very close, a little bit below what we wanted. And besides that, everything else is very close with the expectations. So, as a reminder, we have some data coming out. We have pending home sales and lots of Fed speakers coming out for today before Jerome Powell starts speaking once the market closes. So we have to be ready for some more volatility. It's going to be very interesting. Now, a couple of things to know about the market open is that, once again, we're almost at the end of September. It's going to be very interesting to witness how the market moves. We're just in the final days for the trading session of September. I think tomorrow is going to be the last day because September is going to be ending very, very soon. And then we have some other pieces of news coming out. There are new strike locations for the UAW as the strikes continue, and negotiations with the automakers are just continuing. The metaverse, or whatever you want to call it, it's still continuing to push on, and they're still banking on this in a big way. They're creating a new AI software that could be used with a virtual reality headset. So there's been more talk about that, and there are other things going on right now. With Elon Musk and SpaceX landing its first Pentagon contract with the Starship military satellite service, and things are just continuing from this point on. So, anyways, guys, I want to now talk about the charts. This is just some of the news that came out, at least that could affect the markets to some extent. SPY is trying to break to the upside, but we're going to be watching two major resistance levels for now. We're going to be watching 427.5 and about 428 to see if SPY could try to break these. If we get above 428, that's going to be a good sign, and this thing could be heading for 430 plus. Now we have this inverse head and shoulders like pattern that's leaning like a little bit more in favor of the bulls, but there's no confirmation yet of the market getting a breakout. So you're going to be watching those resistance levels. For support, you're going to be watching down here where this wick is at 425, not to mention 424.8, just a little bit below that. Then we have 424, and if we break below that, we're going to be tanking towards 422. Right now, the market is still in the middle, kind of choppy, so watch it kind of range trade a bit between 425 to 427. I think it's just going to be stuck for some time. Then it's going to make an attempt to break towards 428. We might see it try to break thanks to this inverse head and shoulders. We're going to start off a little choppy for the next 30 minutes or so, be very flat, maybe come down a little bit, retest 425, and bounce off that during the pre-market, and just stay in this range for an extended period of time before we make an attempt to break to 428. I think that's the most probable move. But just to be safe, don't forget to watch 425 in case that breaks down, then that would turn more bearish for the markets. But I'm right now thinking that there's going to be an attempt to break 428, and I'm leaning more in that direction. All right. When it comes to Tesla, we're going to be watching some other critical levels. We're going to be watching to see how Tesla moves. It's very flat right now, not looking that strong. If Tesla's bearish, you want to see it break below 238. If that fails us, then 235 is on the table. And if that fails us, then 232.5 is another possibility. If we're bullish, you want to see Tesla break above 242.5. If it manages to do so, 245 is on the table, not to mention 250 above that. Well, we have 249 and 250, but very close to those levels. So how is this looking so far? It looks very flat. It looks very, very flat, like a pancake, not really doing much, going back and forth for the entire pre-market session. I believe that there's going to likely be a pop when we open. It may come right back down, and we might see Tesla actually cool off a little bit into the 230s. But my gut is telling me that we might actually establish 235 as the low, and Tesla might try to hold above it. So we might try to, make a higher low right over here in this 238 area. Then Tesla might start to see some buyers stepping in later on during the day, try to break 240. I think that there's going to be another attempt for it to bounce. It's going to attempt to try to get back to 245 plus, but we need to see it break above and hold the 50 EMA first at 241.5. So if it breaks and holds this, that's going to be a good sign for the bulls for it to get back to 245. And if that breaks, then 250 would be on the table. But my best prediction for Tesla would be it trades sideways a bit. It's a little pop when we open the trade sideways, cools off a bit, then gets one more pump as time goes on. And it may make an attempt to try to break 241.5 and potentially even higher, things like that. So with that said, guys, I just want to make it very clear that that's what Tesla's looking like so far. I also want to add that things are looking very interesting for Aapl right now. Aapl is once again looking very flat. It's not really doing anything. It's just completely flat right now. If you want to be bullish, you want to see it break and hold this 170 area, then get above 171.08. If that breaks, it has more potential to push towards this 172.5 area. If we're bearish, we're going to be watching this thing break below 169 to retest 168.5. Which direction am I leaning in? I think that right now Aapl is looking like it has this bullish divergence, and it looks like it's going to make an attempt to get above 170. So far as rejecting, it's looking very flat, so it may remain very flat for the rest of the day. So it's not looking that great. We're going to be watching to see if it can try to hold above 170, though. As long as we try to get above that, that could be a decent sign. The QQQ is very flat right now. It's very flat. It's not really doing anything, just like Aapl. There is a possible inverse head and shoulders like pattern. So I could see it decline a bit to form this right shoulder at 353. Might bounce off that and trade sideways for an extended period of time. But there might be a breakout later on thanks to the inverse head and shoulder. And you want to see if it could try to break above 356. If it manages to do so, 358 would be on the table. So watch for a potential drop, lots of sideways price action, maybe a pump later on. There's a possibility of that. To turn bullish, you want to see it break and hold 356. So far, it has not done that. So watch that level for confirmation. That's what I'm seeing so far. On Nvda, it's looking quite decent, trying to hold up. This chart looks very sloppy so far, pretty interesting. But it's continuing to make higher highs and higher lows. Holding up quite decently. It's stuck in a range right now between 420 and 425. I expect it to stay in that range for some time to make an attempt to break towards 428. And if it manages to break above that, then 433 is on the table. But I think that it's just going to trade flat for some time before we make any significant moves. To add on to this, the VIX is actually very flat right now, not really doing much. So we're gonna be watching this 50 EMA to see if this breaks or not. But just know that the market is looking a little bit more promising. The dollar is also dropping a little bit more. If the dollar starts tanking towards the 106 area, towards the 200 EMA, we could see more momentum for the bulls. So things are looking like the market's going to be a little flat for many stocks out there, such as like Tesla starting off flat and also Nvda. But there may be an attempt for it to try to break to the upside. There's going to be at least an attempt. We might start off kind of weak, trade a little sideways when we start off, be a little weak, and then we may make an attempt to push up higher if SPY manages to break and hold above the 50 EMA right here. So this yellow resistance trend line. And then if we break above this as well, right? If we break above this, you're going to be watching 428. I think it's going to make an attempt to try to get there later on during the day. If it manages to break it, then that could turn bullish. If it fails, then it is what it is. We're just going to remain in this level for an extended period of time. But with the inverse head and shoulder, watch SPY potentially, trade sideways in this range. It could just cool off and watch like 425, of course, and see if it could bounce off that and see if there's going to be a bounce for the push to the upside. If you want to truly turn bullish, you want to see it break and hold 428. If it does so, I think there's going to be more room for upside. As of right now, there's no confirmation, so watch it very carefully and do what you have to do. All right, so hopefully this video was helpful. I thank you all so much for listening. Have an absolutely spectacular day trading and doing what you have to do. Watch the levels I called out very carefully, and we will talk very, very later on to see how the market is doing. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and peace out.